Have you ever just had that feeling that the world is changing way faster than you can keep up with? Well, it turns out that's not just a feeling. There's a real fundamental mismatch between how our brains are wired and how the most powerful forces shaping our world actually work. And, getting a handle on this mismatch is absolutely key to navigating what's coming next.
The physicist Albert Bartlett put it pretty bluntly. He said that this one single blind spot, our inability to really, truly get the exponential function, is our most dangerous flaw. It messes with how we think about, well, everything, from technology and finance to global pandemics.
So that's the big question, right? Why do we so consistently get this wrong? Well, the answer is hiding deep inside our own heads, in the very way we perceive reality itself. And we're going to unpack that today. Okay, so to really see this blind spot in action, we're going to start with a classic puzzle. It sounds simple, but it is brilliant at revealing the trap our minds fall into again and again and again. So picture a pond. You put one single lily pad in it, and the number of lily pads doubles every single day. Now, on day 30, the entire pond is covered. The question is simple. On which day was that pond exactly half full? Go on, take a second. What's your bet telling you? Day 15? Maybe day 20?
The answer is day 29. I know, right? It totally trips up our intuition because our brain just wants to think in a straight line. If the pond's full on day 30, it feels like it should be half full around day 15. But because it's doubling, the pond goes from half full to completely full in that one single final day. That's the power of exponential growth.
And look, this isn't just a fun brain teaser. This is a deep-seated cognitive bias. And there's some really fascinating research to prove it. So, researchers at ETH Zurich decided to put this to the test. They took a group of highly educated university students, the kinds of people who might be our future leaders, and they gave them a scenario about a disease spreading exponentially. And they asked them for their gut reaction. No calculators allowed. Now, for the first group, they framed the growth as a percentage, say 26% per day. On this graph, that blue line shows what they guessed. It's just hugging the bottom. The real outcome, the black line, was nearly 1 million cases. Their guesses weren't just a little bit off. They were catastrophically, orders of magnitude wrong. But here's where it gets really interesting. For the second group, they changed just one thing, the words they used. Instead of a percentage, they described the exact same growth as a doubling time, like it doubles every 3 days. And just like that, people's intuition got so much better. Look at the green line. It's soaring way higher, getting far, far closer to the actual number. It's not perfect, but it's in the right ballpark. I mean, this table just lays out the staggering difference. When you say 26% per day, the median guess is a tiny 15,000, when the real answer is almost 1 million. But just by reframing it as a doubling time, that guess skyrockets to over 250,000. The way we talk about it, the language itself, fundamentally changes how well we can grasp it. But why? Why does that happen?
To get that, we need to go a little deeper. See, the reason we struggle with this stuff isn't some failure of logic. It's actually a core feature of how our senses are built. We're about to uncover your mind's secret. It thinks logarithmically.
It all goes back to this principle from the 1800s called Fechner's Law, and it basically says that our perception of something, like light or sound or whatever, it doesn't increase in a straight line with reality. It increases on a curve. It compresses these huge physical changes into much smaller, more manageable subjective experiences. Think of it like this. In objective physical reality, if you add 10 to 10, you get 20. It's a simple additive step. But our brain sees the world differently. To our brain, a huge multiplicative leap, like going from 10 all the way to 100, can feel like a similarly sized step. We basically compress massive multiplying changes into what feel like simple adding steps in our mind. You experience this all the time. Doubling the physical energy of a sound doesn't make it sound twice as loud to you. It just adds a few decibels. Or think about light. Lighting a second candle in a pitch black room feels like this brilliant flash of light. But lighting that same candle in broad daylight, you'd barely notice. It's the same with money. Getting an extra $100 feels life-changing if you only have 100 to your name, but it's basically a rounding error if you're a billionaire. Our brain always judges change relative to where we started.
So we've got this amazing feature built right into our operating system. But what happens when that ancient wiring smacks into the modern world? Well, that's when the feature becomes a bug.
And let's be super clear, this is not a flaw. This logarithmic perception is a brilliant evolutionary adaptation. It's what allows us to hear both a whisper and a jet engine, to see both by starlight and the scorching sun, all without our senses just completely overloading. It's a survival tool, plain and simple. But here's the crash. We don't live in that world anymore. Not entirely. We live in a world of systems that grow exponentially. Compound interest, viral videos, technological progress. Our ancient logarithmic brain just wasn't built to intuitively understand this brand new exponential reality.
This quote just nails it. Our brain interprets multiplicative changes in the world as additive differences in perception. In other words, we see a process that's multiplying like crazy, but we feel like it's just adding up slowly.
So what's the result? What happens when these two worlds meet? We get a dangerous blind spot. We consistently underestimate both threats and opportunities until they are right on top of us, just like in the lily pond puzzle. But it's not hopeless. That Zurich study gave us a really powerful clue about how to fight back against our own flawed intuition. We can actually learn to see more clearly. First things first, we just have to accept a hard truth. When you run into something that's growing by multiplication, whether it's an investment, a virus, a new technology, whatever, your gut feeling about where it's headed, it's almost certainly going to be a massive underestimate. So the key is to use a simple 3-step mental override. First, just spot the pattern. Is this process adding or is it multiplying? Second, if it's multiplying, you have to actively distrust your gut. Just assume it's way off. And third, and this is the most important one, you reframe the problem. Instead of asking about the growth rate, you ask, how long does it take to double? That simple shift is the key to unlocking a much more accurate intuition. And that leaves us with one final, really important question to think about. This bias isn't just some academic idea, it's playing out in the world right now. So, what other crucial trends in technology and finance in our society are growing exponentially, quietly doubling in the background, just waiting for day 29 to arrive when we're not looking?